What's up, you guys? Let's talk about modes and how beneficial they are. I know I kind of want to aim this a little towards guitar players because I know guitar players use modes quite a bit, and it's understandable, especially how they work. But even though this is kind of aimed at guitar players, if you're any kind of musician that plays a pitched instrument, and what I mean by that is an instrument that uses notes, whether even if you're a producer, a piano player, anything like that, this all works. This is the language of music, in the Western explanation at least. So now you may be looking at this like, this is in order: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. And if you want to remember the order, it's whatever. But the way I do it, and it's my favorite acronym, I think is what it's called, is I don't punch like Muhammad Ali. That one was my fucking favorite. So that one stuck with me. Again, though, the order and this stuff is not really important right now. I guess it is important. But before I go up and I build all of these from scratch, so you can see why Dorian has a flat 3, why Lydian has a sharp 4. Before I do that, I just want to clear up some misconceptions here. Understanding this does not make you lose your hearing. It does not make you lose your ability to hear and use your ear. It does not turn you into a zombie robot. It does not make you lose your emotion or feel. And it does not hinder your creativity by any means. When you understand this stuff fully, if anything, I would argue it exponentially increases your creativity, and hopefully you'll see why. With that being said, let's get started. Where the fuck? So we're going to scroll up. So since these are the modes of the major scale, we're going to use the major scale. Now, I don't know if you recognize this or if you're kind of familiar, but I recommend being very familiar with how the major scale works. In my opinion, the major scale is the holy grail of music, not just the guitar. I know a lot of guitar people think it's the minor pentatonic, which the minor pentatonic is cool and everything, but it holds no fucking weight to what the major scale is capable. It holds no fucking weight to what the major scale is capable of. So, just to really quickly go over this, you got your root, your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth, your sixth, your seventh, and then the octave starts over. Now, a lot of people remember it as whole shit, right? And I'll be brutally honest with here. I fucking hate that shit, and I don't use it. The way I do it is I remember that between 3 and 4, there's no fucking gap, and between 7 and the octave, there's no fucking gap. And that has not hindered me in any way, shape, or form so far. Now, if you like the other way, if you like using the steps and stuff, more power to you. It's all subjective. I might fucking not find it useful, but it might be beneficial for you. It actually might even be, if I'm being honest with myself, it might even be beneficial in general. Like the way I do it, the shit way I do it might not even be that good, but it works for me. So getting that out of the way, I want to address the key signature and the notes, because we're going to be working with numbers only here, but I want you to understand that it still applies to those notes. So I want to say that notes and understanding the notes on your instrument is one of the most important things ever. I really don't understand when people are really proud of not understanding how their instrument works. So let me just go over this and how it applies and why we don't really have to worry about it right now. So let's say C major. We know that there are no sharps and flats in that. So let's test that out. C, D, E, that's an F, F, G, A, B, and then it starts over on C. So everything works out there. Now let's test one with a sharp or a flat. Let's do the next easiest one that everyone should remember is G major. And that has an F sharp in it. And let's see where that F sharp comes from, and let's see if this still works. So G, A, B, C, D, E. And this would normally be your F, but this is where the note is, F sharp. And that's it. So this covers everything. Bam. All right. So let's get started. So what we're going to do is, this is C major. This is your standard Ionian. This is just where you go. So I'm going to use C major. This can be any major, but I'm going to use C as an example right now. So let's just pop another bar, because we're just going to keep using the major scale structure. And we're starting now. D Dorian means that you start on the second. This is now your home tone, your center tone, whatever the way you want to look at it. So instead of C being where you want to resolve back to, now it's the D that you want to resolve back to. And so really quick, one of the confusing things that I kind of ran into when I was learning this stuff is, so if D is the tonal center here, what's the difference between D Dorian and, like, let's say D major? Just remember that D Dorian only uses C major notes. And I'll show you. Let's go over the D major notes real quick using this fucking scale. So D, this would be D sharp. E, this would be F, but now we're in F sharp because there's no note there. G, this would be G sharp. A sharp. B, C, but we want C sharp. So in D major, there are 2 sharps. That's the difference. So just because D would be the tonal center does not mean it's D major. It does not mean it's D Dorian. It doesn't mean it's D minor. There's a lot of context that goes into that. So with that being said, let's continue. All right, so what we do here is when we see a number above, we have to drop it down to the next one no matter what. If you see a 2 here and fucking the number drops down here, it ain't a fucking major 2 anymore. It's not a major second. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're dropped down. This is now the root. This is now the second. And here's where we come into the first issue. So when you drop the 4 down, it is no longer a major third because the major third is right there. It is now a flat 3. And it's a minor scale. It's a minor mode. So let's get rid of the 3 here so there's no confusion. Get that fucking shit out of here. We don't want a flat 3 and a 3 in the same thing. No, so you can do whatever the fuck you want. Music is art. I'm not saying you can't do anything, but for right now, we're not going to do something like that. So let's just continue. This is 4. This is 5. Now this is 6. And here we goes another one. So the next one is here, so we're going to drop it down. And this is now, instead of a major 7, it is going to be a flat 7. Let's just get rid of this 7 to just make it clean. Cool, and that's a D Dorian. Now, how do you know I'm not fucking pulling your leg and I'm not full of shit? Let's go back and check the reference. So we have a flat 3 and a flat 7. Dorian right here, we got a flat 3 and we have a flat 7. This is why there are those flats. Okay, let's go to Phrygian, the third one. Same process. Just drop us a new one. We're going to start on the 3rd note. See, we're starting 3rd and it's going down. And we just do the whole game again. A root. This is going to have a flat 2nd. So this is going to be a pretty tension-filled mode. You'll see. Then we have a flat 3. We have a 4. We have a 5. We have a flat 6. We have right here, we have a flat 7. Let's just get rid of the arrow. Flat 7. So while I erase these ghost notes or whatever, what the fuck? Oh, okay. Let me just say that this is the second most, angry, most tense mode. And I want to take this time to kind of show you how you can visually see this stuff before you hear it. So notice that we have the root here. God damn it. What's my fucking brush? So notice that, dude. Oh, what? When did I change that shit to white? So we have the root here. And don't forget, we also have a root here past the 7. And so when you notice like things like this flat are starting to go, these are all starting to pull towards the root. And that makes tension. The closer the notes are together, the more tense they are. That's how you get your sad stuff, your angry stuff, and all that stuff like that. And then when you start to move kind of away, it gives a more relief feeling. It makes it a little happier, no melancholy, stuff like that. But the beautiful thing about music is as you're going in any direction, right, you're approaching the root again from another side. And that's kind of the beautiful balancing act of music and music writing. Using that and understanding how to play with that and take advantage of that gives you so much color and just texture to whatever you're using, whatever you're writing. Okay, and with that being said, let's continue. So now we're going to go to Lydian. I'm not going to talk through this one. I'm just going to write through it, and just if you can, try and follow along and understand why what's changing is changing. Shit. Okay, here we go. What? Let me try this again. Here we go. All right, so 4, we're starting on the 4th note, and I'm going to shut the fuck up. And there we go. Lydian has a sharp 4. It's technically the brightest because we have the root here and it's going away. Now, I know I talked about, because you're going away from the root on one end, you're going towards it on the other. There's a lot to that, so just don't really think about it too much here, but just keep that in mind as we go through this. All right, let's do the next one. What is the next one? We're on 4 or 5, which is Mixolydian. So we start on the 5th note here. Let's drop it down. So this is now a root, a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th. Very similar to the major scale, but with one difference. Here's the next note down here. It is now a flat 7. So this is exactly like the major scale, but with a flat 7 or a dominant 7, however you want to look at it. And there we go. That's the 5th mode. That's Phrygian. Let's check our work right here. Let's just pick one. Let's check. No, that was Mixolydian. Sorry. Let's check Phrygian. Right, a flat 2, 3, 6, and 7. Is this true? Phrygian, flat 2, 3, 6, and 7. So we're on track. This is all correct information so far. Now it's going to be correct all the way through. I want to show you that I'm not full of shit. I'm not just pulling your leg. I'm not just making this shit up. This isn't some wacky thing that I came up with, like some weird thing that no one fucking knows of. This is the language of music. Okay, so we're going to go into everyone's favorite now. The 6th mode, the Aeolian mode, the minor. So let's get that started. All right, starting on 6 here. And I'm sure a lot of you guitar players already know the minor scale by heart because the minor scale is fucking awesome. So let's just go together here. So we have a root. Fucking let's get a better one in there. We got a root. We have a 2nd. We have a flat 3. We have a 4. We have a 5th. We have a flat 6, and we have a flat 7. Yep. There we go. And that's how the minor scale is made from the modes of the major scale. All right. So we have 6. Now we're going to do the last mode, the 7th mode, the mode I like to call the hot dog mode because it's just all the leftover notes and a lot of people think it's gross. I fucking love hot dogs. Now, I don't really know too much about food other than how to fucking eat it too much. So I'm sure someone will correct me, but I'm pretty sure hot dogs are like all the leftover shit that they fucking shove into a little package there. But anyway, let's get started. Let's fucking go. Paste. Let's go to the 7th note. And you'll see this one is just disgusting, but in a good way. There's a lot of tension in this one. So we have a root. We already have a flat 2nd. We have a flat 3. We have a 4th, which is the only thing that doesn't fucking change here. We have a flat 5. We have a flat 6, and we have a flat 7. See that? See the flat there? So the reason Locrian is so hard to use is because using the Locrian as the tonal center is difficult because it's a diminished version. And usually diminished chords want to resolve to something else. So to resolve to diminished, to resolve to the thing that doesn't want to fucking live and wants to be resolved to something else, that's tough to write with. And if you ever want a challenge, try and write something in fucking Locrian, man. That shit's tough, but if you can do it, a lot of people, people can do it. It's been done. But just giving you, kind of the information on Locrian like that, why it's not really used and all that good stuff. So like me personally, I love diminished shit. I love dissonance. Dissonance can be beautiful when used, correctly. Okay. So we have the modes of the major scale built out. What the fuck do we do with this mess of academia, right? How do we apply this to anything? That's my favorite fucking part, and I'm going to go over it right now. Okay. I put the notes back up. Fucking damn it. I'm an eraser still. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, I put the notes back up here just to help with this part because we're going to go over scales, chord structure, and chord progressions and how all three of those apply to the guitar. So let's just start with scales. That's kind of the simplest explanation right now. So you've got the major scale, you've got the minor scale, and we'll just do something simple. We'll keep it simple. We'll do the Mixolydian scale. Now, you see these degrees, these like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are just the notes. remember, because they're all up here. It's just the numbers are to show the degree of that note. So how do you apply this scales to the guitar? So let's go down to the guitar here. Fucking dude, this menu at the top sucks. All right, let's go red. Let's get a little thicker line. Get that fucking red dot out of here. So if you don't recognize this, it's a guitar. Sorry. It's when we're in C major. So this is the major scale for C major. This is the 8th fret here, which is a C on the E string. We're in standard tuning here, by the way. So let's go over majors right now. A major is a root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and a 7. So that is the major scale. You see that? Whole, half, whole, half, right? just like on a piano, right? The piano keys, it looks exactly like that because that's the C major on, at least on the piano keys, because that's kind of the structure of this shit. Now, some of you might not recognize that major scale, which is totally fine, but some of you might recognize this one. 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the octave. I'm sure a lot of you recognize that one. Let's do another one here. We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the root. This one's my personal favorite. There we go. Let's just do one more here just for funsies. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can do that 7 and 1, or you can do this 7 and 1, or you can do this. I don't know why I erased the 7. This 7 and 1, and this kind of leads into my opinion on basing things only on shapes. I know that's a really popular thing. Oh my goodness. In the guitar community. What? Oh, excuse me. I know that's a really popular thing in the guitar community to just go off of shapes, and I'm not knocking it. But if you just go off of shapes, in my opinion, you're limiting yourself. It's good to know the flow, the structure of these notes, so you don't have to just rely on shapes. You can just, you know where the numbers are, you know where you can go. So let's say you're doing some shit, you're like root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, higher notes, 6th. Like you can split this shit up. You don't have to just rely on shapes. Because you know where these notes come from, you know why they're doing what they're doing. And that's why I think actually no, before I say that, let's do minor. So you have a root, a 2nd, see there's a 3, but we're going to go down to the flat 3. When you flatten a note, it goes lower. When you sharpen a note, it goes higher. That is it. So we have a flat 3, we have a 4, we have a 5, we have a flat 6, and we have a flat 7. That is the minor scale. I'm sure some of you recognize that one. Let's look at a couple others here. I'm not going to do as many as the major because we understand how the major one works. So 3, 4, 5, flat 6. Whoops, a little ahead of myself. Flat 7 and 1. So there's the minor scale. And then for all you mega pentatonic fans out here, the minor pentatonic, you'll recognize this scale. All of us will. Flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, and a root. And then you've got a flat 3 again. You've got a 4 again. You've got a 5 again. You have a flat 7. You have a root, and you have a flat 3rd. Look at that. That look familiar? It does. And that's all that means. That's how the numbers and that's how the kind of scales apply to the guitar. I recommend doing shapes and understanding because I use shapes too as a quick reference, but I don't rely on shapes when I'm, writing stuff and shit like that because I want to know what degree I'm on and all that good stuff. So let's go back up here. Let's get our pen. So now that we know how the scales apply to the guitar, let's go up and talk about chord structure because all a chord is you're taking the number degrees, the notes from the scale and playing them at the same time to create certain chords. So for example, we're just going to pull from this pool up here, the major, the Ionian, the first mode. So we have a root, a 3rd, and a 5th, which is a major scale, which means you play the root, 3rd, and 5th at the same time. You have, let me Just mark that as a major. There's a big M there, major. Okay, now we have suspended seconds and suspended, oh, what the fuck did I do there? Suspended fourth. And so all that means is you're taking your root, your third, and your fifth, and you're taking this 3, and instead of having the 3, you replace it by going down to the second, or you replace it by going up to the fourth. And that's all a suspended chord is. You're just replacing the 3. Now, if you want to keep the 3 and you do a 3 and a 2, now that's a different chord. That is a 2 or one that's a major add 9, and we'll go over that. I'll go over that. I shouldn't have fucking said anything already, but whatever. I don't want to confuse anybody. So a suspended second would look like this: 1, 2, 5. A suspended fourth would look like this: 1, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got that. We have a major 6, which is a root, a third, a fifth, and a sixth. You see the pattern here? This 1, 3, 5 is very important. That is a triad. Okay, you have a major 7, which you guessed it, a root, whoops, a root, a 3, a 5, and a 7. Bam. So this all, it all makes sense. Okay, now let's get into the extended numbers. When you see 9s, 11s, and 13s, there's a couple things you need to kind of consider. So let's take a major 9th. When you see 9th, there's a TH there. That is a root, a third, give me a second, root, third, fifth, 7th, and then a 9. And the reason the second is a 9 is we have 7 notes before it starts over again. So with 7 here, the next note is technically an 8. Octo, octave, 8. So I don't know why I got rid of that. So we have 8. This would be a 9. This would be a 10, but we don't deal with even numbers. This would be an 11. This would be a 12. This would be a 13, and we don't do 14. So there it is. Your 9th is your second, your 4th is your 11th, and your 6th is your 13. And the quickest way to just kind of deal with that is realize that if you see any number above a 7, you subtract 7. And that's the note it comes from, because it's kind of the repeated note from the original scale. Now let's go over in a major add 9. So what that is you're just taking your basic root. Oh, why did I fucking root 3, 5, and then you're adding the second, either second. I like the lower register seconds. That's just I like lower notes. But that's what it means to add 9. You're not doing the full chord. You're just adding the 9th to the triad. And the same goes for your 11ths. You have your major 11th. You have your major add 11, which is a 4. You have, same for major 13, major add 13. I forgot the TH is up here. So you have like a huge pool of notes just coming from this one scale, this one mode, the major scale. And the thing is, think of this like a color. Like, let's say it's green, right? These are different shades of green. They'll give you different outcomes. They'll kind of change the texture of everything. So it's completely up to you on which ones you want to use. Certain ones will go into other chords really well. They're not all equal, but for certain contexts, some could be better than others. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to keep this gross chart here because this kind of applies to everything. With let's say you have, your minor. You just do the same thing, except it's going to be the minor third, the flat 6. The only thing I want to say here real quick, and I'm not trying to confuse anybody, is when you come to the whole flat 6 thing, a lot of times you'll see it as a sharp 5. They're the same fucking note. A flat 6 is a sharp 5. That's called an enharmonic. Well, that's not really the enharmonic. An enharmonic is like, let's say a fucking D sharp and an E flat. That's an enharmonic because E flat here shares the same fucking shit. Get the fuck out of here as the sharp here. So the difference and the reason you would use a sharp and a flat is all with context in order to reduce confusion. And I can go over that in another video. That's actually quite a lot to talk about on that one. But for now, let's just go over the basics of this. Okay, so we have our pool of chords. We understand. No, before we go over the chord progressions, let's apply some of these chords to the guitar so you can see what I'm talking about here. So let's go back to the thicker one. Get this. I know the red dots, you son of a bitch. Okay. So let's just start on the major third we all know and love. Here's the A string third fret, which is C, the third, the fifth, and the root. Y'all recognize that C. I know you do. All right. Now let's do a bar chord, right? Let's do a ninth. Let's do an add 9. Fuck the ninth. Let's do an add 9. So here's the 8th fret, which is a C on the E string. We do that. There's our root. There's our 5th. Now here's our octave, but we don't want the octave. We want to pop it up to the 9th. I know that's a stretch in real life, but I love the way that sounds. And then you have your 3rd, your 5th again, and your root. And you'll notice a lot of these chords have repeated notes. Now, if you can finesse your fucking hand, somehow you can get whatever you want, man. And that's where the complex chords and shit come in handy. But those suck. Take it from me, man. Trust me, those suck. They're beautiful, they're great, but they are not fun to learn. So that's about it. Like, let's go back to I want to point out how simple this is too. Just one more time. Let's say you have just a standard major chord, root, octave, and third, and you just will do, oh, wow, I missed that fucking line. 5th and your 1st. So this is a major chord, major bar chord, and all you got to do is just fucking drop the 3rd. Oh, fuck. And then, bam, you have a minor bar chord. Like, it's that simple. You just adjust notes as they come. And really quick. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that yet. So, let's go back up and we'll talk about chord progressions. Let's get this fucking red shit out of here. So, the way chord progressions work is, let's take a simple one. One of my favorites is the oldies chord progression, which is a root, a major 1, a minor 6, a major 4. Sorry, these Roman numbers are fucking my brain up. 5. So, remember our pool of notes here. Oh, where'd that circle go? So, our pool of notes. This is the kind of chords you can kind of make with this shit. You just add numbers together. So, when there's a chord progression like this, that's the order you play, technically, the note or the shit in. So, C is 1 in this case. So, there we go. We pick the notes that we get from C. Minor 6. Now that's an A in this case. And we pick it's a minor, so it's lowercase because it has a flat 3. And the same with the 4. You just pull this down, build chords off of that. And the 5, it's the same thing. Build it off of that. And you play them in that order. And that's what they mean by a chord progression. You have a 1, minor 6, 4, 5. Now, if you want to do a different chord progression, like let's say instead of the minor 6, for some reason you wanted to do the 3rd. Let's look at that. So we look at the 3rd mode and we see that that's also minor. So that is going to be a minor 3rd. And you play from that pool of notes instead. And so how do we kind of apply this to the guitar now? Sorry, I just want to clean this up. And I don't know why I'm making you watch me clean it up, because I could absolutely just not do this and edit it out later, but I'm not that good at editing. My computer sucks. Okay, so let's go down and apply these things. So let's say we're going from the 1 to the 6. Damn, give me this fucking shit here. All right. So let's say our first chord is a 1, a major, just a major fucking C major, right? We don't even need to do the full bar or something. Let me, sorry. I'm a classical player, so I play chords in weird areas. So let's do the normal C, right? 1. So there's your C. Let's say you want to go to the minor 6 now. So we're in C, and we see that this is a 6. We see that this is a 6. We can build it off of any of these 6s, because think of it like a little factory. It's a movable factory. Like, oh, we're done with this one. Let's go up to the 6, and now that's going to be our new one, and we're going to build our tree because it's a root and it's a factory, right? That's how it works. You just move over. And so I have a picture ready to kind of go into the 6th. So we see how, this is the 8th fret, which is the C on the E string. So now let's go down to the other one I have. Now see, this is the 5th fret, which has the 1, which is an A. So you'll notice that this structure does not change no matter what note you're on. It just changes for the note. Like, it's going to shift to whatever your root is, which is the thing I love about this. That's why I think you should pay attention to the numbers, because you won't have to remember C major's notes. Like, you don't have to remember A. Once you learn one, you learn them all, which is great. A lot less remembering, definitely the path of least resistance in understanding the guitar and how it correlates to music and the language of music. So after we did our C, we can do our A, and I'll do the popular A, this one here. There's A minor. There it is, and that's it, because we went from this C root, and then now we're in the second one. We're in the minor 6th. That's the chord being played now, so the pool of notes is from a different. So the 1 goes down from the 8 down to 5, or from the C down to A. And that's it. Like, in my opinion, that's the quickest way to kind of understand where you can go from chord progressions. Like, if it's just going to reiterate it one more time. If it's a 1 and you're playing in C major here. I am tired. Give me a second. So you're playing in C major here. When it's time to go to the next chord, you just shift that bad boy down to the next chord, and you do the same kind of shit. You build off of it. That's it. That is it. All right. So this is pretty much all there really is to the basics of it. And it's not even, this is a little more than the basics. Now, I want to kind of just give you kind of the note that this needs to be practiced. This is like a language. This will not come to you overnight. If it does, hell yeah, dude. But trust me when I say this stuff kind of takes time to sink in. Me personally, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, this doesn't fucking make sense. This doesn't fucking make sense. And then 2 days later, I'm like, holy shit, that makes perfect sense. What the fuck? Sometimes it just takes time to sink in, and it's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest feeling. I want you to I want to reiterate that this is not a set of rules. You can absolutely use notes outside of this, and it will work. It'll be beautiful. It'll be great. Just understand that this is the basic structure, and it's where you can revert back to if you get lost. This is just guaranteed to work with each other. That's it, because you have things like secondary dominance, you have borrowed chords, you have all that kind of stuff that will still work.